All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, friend of the show, Matt Orfila, who is credited with making Bernie's best ever promotional video, which they then hired Matt Orfila to work on the Bernie campaign, and then immediately fired him and threw him under the bus. He then got a medical problem that he didn't have money to fix, and Bernie Sanders doesn't give a fuck. Just so you know. Well, he cares. Matt Orfila cares about Julian Assange, even if his political heroes don't. And he had an interview. He's done a great video, by the way. I'm going to send you a link, show you where to go check out Matt's work. And he had an interview with the former vice president of the New York Times. This guy, he looks like he's important, right? He looks like one of those guys who's important, sits around a board. You walk into a board meeting, he's there. And you look at him and you go, "You still working? Why don't you fucking retire?" What else am I going to do? What am I going to do? Go to Florida and beg chicks? What am I going to do? So here's what he had to say about Julian Assange, and I think you'll find it interesting. Now, remember, this comes from the New York Times.
What is it that's had you 10 years ahead of the game warning about this now very real current case against Julian Assange?
It's extraordinarily dangerous because it gives the government power to punish those who publish. And there has never been any such punishment in the history of this country. And so the principle is very important. The principle is being applied to an unpopular figure, unfortunately. But I think we all should realize that in important speech cases, and this is a case about speech, very often the speaker is not popular. That's the nature of the game, and we should forget about whether we like Assange or not and focus on the fact that a very dangerous precedent can be set if Assange loses.
Wow. Vice Chair of New York Times says that. So he understands that his business is threatened. Here's Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton used to get this. She says all people have the right to seek, receive, and here we go. Ready? Here we go.
Can I comment?
Some countries have.
Hang. So let me bring in Matt. So Matt is here. Matt Orfila, you know him from the show. Matt, you're making. Hey. So what do you want to say? You want to say something about your conversation with? Go ahead.
Well, let me just comment on the James Goodale bit there. So he is not only the former vice chair, former vice president of the New York Times, he was the general counsel of the New York Times during the famous Free Press threatening Pentagon Papers case. So if anybody knows anything about how much of a threat the Espionage Act is to the First Amendment, he knows.
Thank you. All right, now here's Hillary Clinton at the museum.
Some countries have erected electronic barriers that prevent their people from accessing portions of the world's networks. They've expunged words, names, and phrases from search engine results. They have violated the privacy of citizens who engage in non-violent political speech. These actions contravene the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which tells us that all people have the right to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers.
They say this stuff. It means nothing. She's sick. This is exactly what Chris Hedges says. This is exactly what Thomas Frank says in Listen Liberal. They know all the words to democracy. They know all the words to the songs, and they say them. They pay fealty to democracy and liberty and freedom. They pay fealty to it. And then what does she do? She goes and murders hundreds of thousands of people, laughs about it, and then says she wants to prosecute a journalist. After she says that, not only a journalist, not a journalist doing bad work, a journalist doing amazing work, exposing war crimes. Oh, right, that's right. They're her war crimes. That's right. She's a war criminal. I forgot. The people who are prosecuting Julian Assange are actual war criminals. We're not prosecuting war criminals. We're prosecuting journalists, and everyone's still pretending like Trump is the guy threatening our democracy. This is bipartisan. This is not only bipartisan, it's by country. It's tri-country. Australia's not doing a goddamn thing to help Julian Assange. The UK is doing this to him, and the United States is You really think we're the good guys still? Do you really think the West are the good guys? We're psychopathic murdering terrorists. No matter what Sam Harris tells you. Do not listen to that guy. The United States are the terrorists. We are the terrorists. And we don't care about journalism. And we venerate people like this, a bona fide murdering psychopath. She's a psychopath, Hillary Clinton. She's a legit psychopath, murderer, war criminal who laughs about it and then pays fealty to journalism as she wants to kill him. Remember, she said, can't we drone bomb Julian Assange? Why? Because he revealed my war crimes.
Can I say
yes,
something
go
about
ahead,
that one?
Matt. Go ahead,
All right.
Matt.
So some context for that one. This was the same year, just before. This was January 2010. Few months later, July 2010, is when WikiLeaks started dropping big files on the Afghan and Iraq wars. And so just a few months later, after this speech where Hillary Clinton is talking about how, while she's shaming other countries for cracking down on websites and censoring the internet, the U.S. government censored WikiLeaks in government buildings, including the Library of Congress. The Library of Congress, at the same time that this information was available in the New York Times, in the Guardian, and news outlets all over the world. It was being censored by the U.S. government. Just a few months later, after she's, talking about how she's so much holier than these other countries. Also, now not only did they censor WikiLeaks, they orchestrated a banking blockade to prevent WikiLeaks from getting donations. Again, just a few months of her saying this bullshit. Then, and then today, Assange is being charged for exactly what Hillary Clinton just said everybody has the right to do. She, at their last line was, everybody has the right to, her words were, God damn it. Sorry.
To receive.
There you go. Seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. All people have those rights. That's what she just said. And that is exactly what Assange is being charged with right now, currently. And where is Hillary Clinton? Where's Hillary Clinton doing? Is she coming out to shame big, bad Donald Trump, which she's eager to do in every other situation? Well, not every other situation like she should. There are many situations where Hillary Clinton agrees with Donald Trump, and this is one of them.
Exactly right. So now, Bob Woodward, you have this video, The War on the Press, War on Journalism, Bob Woodward and Julian Assange. So Bob Woodward has been conspicuously silent on this issue, correct, Matt?
Yes.
And
hasn't said a word, as far as I'm aware. Despite 2 books on the Trump administration now.
So here's a little part from your video.
Government has so much power. It's hidden. It's a very dangerous time.
Despite the Trump administration's unprecedented attack on the freedom of the press, to my knowledge, Woodward has not yet commented on the Assange case. Perhaps he's just afraid of upsetting his high-level U.S. intelligence sources. but considering his journalism students may now end up in jail for following his advice, I think it'd be appropriate for him to comment on the most important First Amendment case in modern history.
I'm busy, but not that busy. And so I made Woodward B at washpost.com. Push like you would push anybody else. You say, come on, let's talk. Let's tell the truth. Let's not be chicken shit about this.
Fuck?
That best obtainable version of the truth takes priority over everything. Political party, even having a sane personal life. This is a time we're being tested. Let's not kid ourselves. This is the final exam for democracy.
What?
Please like and share this video.
What the fuck? What is he talking about there? He's talking about the Trump administration, or is he's not talking about WikiLeaks?
Well, yes. This was from a 2018 masterclass in investigative journalism. Yeah, he was not talking about the Assange case.
No.
As the biggest threat to democracy, as you just heard James Goodell and Daniel Ellsberg say.
Yes.
They fucking know. And he fucking knows too.
And he won't.
If he wasn't,
he's such a coward.
I mean, everything he said just could proves
such
that
a coward.
how important. Like if you took everything he says could be applied to Assange.
Everything.
There's nothing more important than verifiable information. That's Assange. I mean, that's what he's all about. And I'll say that part where he mentioned, let's not be chicken shit about this. So I'm referencing another clip earlier in the video where he is talking about how, well, first let me preface this by saying the part of the prosecution's arguments against Assange is that he encouraged his source, Chelsea Manning, and encouraged people to leak him information. Simply by putting up "We want information" sign, which all the newspapers have. They say, please, if you have a story, you got some secret information, give it to us. We want it. So every news outlet does that. But part of the charge is that, Assange encouraged his sources. So that's part of a conspiracy to obtain and disclose classified information. What used to be called it's basic part of the news gathering process. And now they're saying this is a conspiracy, a criminal conspiracy to obtain and disclose information. Now, Assange was incredibly passive as far as his dealings with Chelsea Manning. The most aggressive thing they can find is he just slightly said, encouraging eyes never run dry, curious eyes never run dry. That's the most aggressive thing they can find Assange saying to Manning. It's an incredibly passive line to say, to hint, I would like some more information. Now let's contrast with Woodward, who says to his source, and he was speaking to Deep Throat, the famous Watergate source. He said, let's not be chicken shit about this. I want the truth. Give it to me. And he said in his class that his source, Deep Throat, was not a voluntary source.
Ha! So that's a guy. So what you're saying is that he actually did encourage the source. He's doing what the government is accusing Julian Assange of doing. He actually did do that.
Yes. Not only did he encourage the source, which encourage is a word used in the indictment, he freaking coerced his source. I mean, he said, and he was not a volunteer. He's always admitting that he coerced his source into giving information, which is what journalists do. Not only that, but he's teaching in his master class, investigative journalism class, that's what you do. That's what journalists do. He says, you push like you would push anybody else. You say, let's not be chicken shit about this. I want the truth. Tell me what you know. Which, by the way, is a famous line in the movie All the President's Men, which was a celebrated Academy Award-winning movie about the press and the importance of the press, and about Bob Woodward and his work investigating Watergate. This is a famous line, famous movie everybody adored. And now that fucking line that everybody used to fucking celebrate is now being criminalized. Not just the line, but the act of journalism.
Even the people who in the movie The Post have their head up their ass about Julian Assange and freedom of speech. I saw a panel. Every fucking actor in that movie, including the director, has their head completely up their ass, and they're cowards.
Dude, did you
cowards?
see? Yeah.
How you could make The Post and then be silent on Julian Assange or misrepresent when it is? Ask Tom Hanks how he did it, because he did it. Where is Tom Hanks, by the way, on Julian Assange? Where is he at? Where's Hollywood? Why aren't they screaming? They all like to scream about cages and Donald Trump, even though Barack Obama built those cages and put those kids in them. They all like to scream about Donald Trump and democracy. Why aren't they screaming about this? Oh, that's right. Because they're all cowards. And they're not really screaming about Donald Trump. They're screaming that Donald Trump bothers them personally. They don't give a fuck about policy, because if they did, they'd be screaming about the Democrats implementing Trump's policies. And they're not. They're not screaming about this. So, Matt, great work. That is amazing. Bob Woodward is telling exactly what Julian Assange is being charged with. He's saying that's what you're supposed to do and do it. And that he did do it.
Yeah. And
he's silent on Julian Assange. If anybody has a quote from Bob Woodward on Julian Assange, please send it to us. As far as we know, he's been silent. He certainly hasn't been vocal. He certainly hasn't been screaming about it like the democracy depends on it, which it does. Why? Because journalists are cowards. Bob Woodward is a fucking Russiagator. I'm telling you, journalism in America isn't worth a shit. That's why you're watching this fucking show. That's why you got to go to Matt Orfala to show you that Bob Woodward's a piece of shit. And Jim Acosta. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.